There's a reason you're seeing this right now, my child, and it has very little to do with the external noise of the world and everything to do with the quiet pulse of your own heart. You may not even know why you stopped here, but there is a timing to this encounter that you may not have noticed, a specific alignment that has been unfolding beneath the layers of your daily life. You may have been feeling a weight lately that you couldn't quite name, a sense of being on the verge of a discovery that remains just out of reach. Stay with this for a moment and let this space unfold for a second, because there is something about this particular hour that marks the end of a long and weary cycle. My beloved, you have been standing at the threshold of eternal morning light for longer than you realize, waiting for a signal that the night is truly over. You may have felt a deep exhaustion settling into your bones, a tiredness that sleep cannot touch, because it is the fatigue of a soul that has been in constant motion. This is not a sign of your defeat, but rather a transition into a deep stillness that always precedes the most significant movements of the divine. There is something about this coming shift that requires you to be completely still, to let go of the oars and trust that the current of your destiny is finally moving in the right direction. My chosen, you may be noticing a strange calm appearing in the middle of your storms, a quietness that feels both unfamiliar and deeply necessary. It is possible that you have spent years fighting against the echoes of past defeats, listening to the whispers of old failures that told you that you would never reach the gate. You may have felt before that every time you moved toward your purpose, something held you back, a hidden resistance that seemed to sabotage your every effort. In a moment, this may become clearer as the light begins to crest the horizon, revealing that those obstacles were never as solid as they appeared to be. My heir, you are the resilient torchbearer who has carried the flame through corridors of uncertainty where others would have turned back. You may have wondered if your persistence was actually a form of madness, especially when the darkness seemed to grow thicker the further you walked. There's a reason you kept going, a reason your spirit refused to extinguish the light even when your mind was ready to surrender. This resilience has carved a path through the unseen realms, and right now, the cosmic gears are finally aligning to match the frequency of the light you have so faithfully guarded. My child, the shielded eternal guardian, stands at the entrance of your new season, not to block your way, but to ensure that the echoes of the past cannot follow you through the great unlocking gate. You may have been feeling a sense of micro-tension lately, a feeling that something is shifting but not yet fully visible to your physical eyes. This is the moment where the final countdown concludes, not with a loud explosion, but with the profound click of a divine lock finally finding its key. There is something about this moment that connects to a prayer you offered years ago, a request that you thought had been forgotten by the heavens. My beloved, you may have felt this before, that brief sensation of being watched over by something vast and loving, even in your loneliest hours. You may be noticing this now more than ever, a presence that feels like a shield around your thoughts and a warmth around your heart. You are not here randomly, and your presence in this space is a testimony to your readiness to receive a revelation that has been kept in the hidden archives of time just for you. If something within you resonates, you may already understand why you're here and why the struggle you once knew is losing its grip on your identity. My chosen, think of the times you sat in the silence of your room, feeling the weight of your own potential but not knowing how to release it into the world. You may have sensed this before, that you were built for a setting far grander than the one you currently inhabit, a place of quiet reflection and immense power. As you stand at this threshold, you are being invited to leave behind the identity of the seeker and take up the mantle of the one who has arrived. There is something about the way your life is being rearranged right now that suggests a total restoration of everything you thought was lost in the fires of your previous seasons. My heir, the setting of your life is moving into a quiet midnight threshold where the old world ends and the new one begins to breathe. You may notice that the noise of other people's opinions is beginning to fade, replaced by a deep internal authority that speaks of certainty and grace. Not everything is clear yet, and that is by design, for the light of the morning is meant to reveal your path one step at a time, so that you are not overwhelmed by the brilliance of your own future. Just give this a little space, and notice how your heart responds to the idea that the gates are already moving on your behalf. My child, You may have felt a sense of searches ending, and a different kind of becoming starting to take root in your spirit. The exhaustion you go that. Being transformed into a deep stillness, a holy vacuum that is being filled with a peace that the world cannot give or take away. You may be noticing that you are no longer interested in the battles that once drained your energy, choosing instead to focus on the inscription of light that is being written upon your soul. This is your true identity surfacing, the resilient heir who has survived the training ground and is now ready to enter the palace of their purpose. My beloved, as the final countdown reaches its end, take a moment to notice what you're feeling in the depths of your being. The cosmic gears have found their alignment, and the shielded eternal guardian is opening the way to a reality that matches the beauty of the dreams you were almost afraid to dream. If this resonated, take a moment to notice what you're feeling. And if you feel supported here, you're always welcome to stay connected to this frequency of truth. Walk forward now toward the gate, for the light is rising, and the morning belongs to you. You may not even know why you stopped here, my beloved, but there is a reason you were pulled into this specific moment of silence out of all the noise in your world. There may be something unfolding beneath the surface of your current confusion, a mystery that is waiting for the right second to reveal its true face to your spirit. You may have been feeling a persistent restlessness lately, a sense that the universe is moving in one direction while you are held in place. But part of you already understands that this pause is intentional. Don't rush past this just yet, as we are entering a space where the echoes of your yesterday cannot reach, and the light of your tomorrow is finally starting to breathe with a life of its own. Just give this a little space, and notice how the tension in your shoulders begins to soften as you realize you are exactly where you need to be. My chosen, you have spent so many nights replaying the moments where you felt you failed, letting those echoes of past defeats dictate the rhythm of your heart. You may have felt before that your mistakes were permanent ink on the pages of your story, branding you as someone who would always be one step behind the grace they sought. This inner struggle, this quiet voice that tells you that you are an imposter in your own life, is the very thing the shielded eternal guardian is here to silence. You may be noticing this now, a subtle shift in your awareness that suggests your past was not a prison sentence, but a rigorous training ground for the authority you are about to step into. There is something about this realization that connects to a deeper truth, a truth that will become clearer as we move further into the stillness of this inner chamber. My heir, think of those early mornings when you sit alone with a warm cup in your hands, staring out at the world before it wakes, wondering if your life will ever feel as meaningful as the dreams you carry. You may have sensed this before, that there is a vast difference between the life you are living and the life that is calling to you from across the threshold of eternal morning light. This relatable ache is not a sign of lack, but a signal of alignment, a proof that your soul is already vibrating at the frequency of the great unlocking gate. The exhaustion you feel is the final residue of a search that has come to its end, and it is turning into a profound stillness that allows you to finally see the glowing book of your destiny. This book is not written with the shadows of your struggle, but with the light of your persistence, and it is waiting for your hand to turn the page. My child, there is a micro-tension in the air right now, a feeling that the cosmic gears have finally finished their complex rearrangement and are locked into a new position. You may have felt this before, that sensation of a final countdown in your spirit, a ticking clock that isn't counting down to disaster but to a divine breakthrough. Not everything is clear yet, and you may still find yourself reaching for old comforts and old defenses that no longer fit the person you are becoming. This is a natural part of the awakening, a slow shedding of the armor that served you in the trenches but would only weigh you down in the palace. There is something about this specific timing that suggests you are being moved from a state of searching into a state of recognizing exactly who you were always meant to be. My chosen, you are not here randomly, and your spirit is not listening to these words by chance. You are the resilient torchbearer, whose light is needed for the chapter that is currently opening. You may have been feeling that your flame was flickering, that the winds of your past defeats had finally grown too strong for you to resist. But notice how your heart responds to the presence of the shielded eternal guardian, who stands in the silent corridor of your transition, ensuring that no weapon formed against your peace can prosper. You are being pulled gently into a new identity, one that no longer identifies with the wound but with the healing that has emerged from it. In a moment, this may become even clearer, as you realize that the gate in front of you doesn't require a key you have to find, but a key you have already become. My beloved, stay with this moment, for there is a depth here that connects to the very core of your existence and the purpose you were sent to fulfill. You may have felt this before, a sudden surge of recognition when you see a certain symbol or hear a certain truth, a feeling of coming home to a place you've never physically visited. This emotional recognition is the bridge between your confusion and your direction, a divine compass that is pointing you toward the threshold of eternal morning light. If something within you resonates, you may already understand why the search had to be so long and why the silence had to be so deep. You are not just witnessing a change in your circumstances. You are witnessing a total alignment of your soul with the cosmic heart of the Creator. My heir, consider the subtle real-life moments where you felt completely misunderstood by those around you, as if you were speaking a language they couldn't hear. This isolation was not a punishment, but a sanctuary, a setting of reflection, where you could develop the internal strength necessary to stand as a pillar in the coming season. You may notice that as you reflect on these moments, the heaviness of being different is being replaced by the awareness of being chosen. The great unlocking gate is moving now, and the sound it makes is the sound of 1,000 prayers being answered in a single breath. There is a timing to this that is so precise it can only be described as a miracle, and you are the one standing at the center of it. My child, the confusion of your past is melting away into a clear direction, much like the mist vanishes when the sun finally takes its place in the sky. You may be noticing this now, a sudden sharpness in your intuition and a quiet confidence that doesn't need to shout to be felt. This is the result of the cosmic gears finally finding their perfect mesh, a harmony that is beginning to reflect in your outer world as much as your inner one. If you feel supported here, you're always welcome to stay connected, for there is much more to be revealed in the quiet midnight threshold where we meet. The shielded eternal guardian has cleared the way, and the final countdown has concluded, leaving you standing at the edge of everything you ever hoped for. My beloved, take a deep breath and let the stillness of this inner chamber settle into every cell of your body, replacing the old exhaustion with a new, vibrant peace. You have carried the torch through the long night, and now you stand at the threshold of a morning that will never end. The symbols of your journey, the glowing book, the divine key, the open gate, are all merging into a single reality that you are now invited to walk through. You are the resilient, chosen heir, and the universe is pausing in this moment to honor the path you have walked. Stay with this feeling, my child, for it is the sound of your own soul finally saying yes to the destiny that has been waiting for you since the beginning of time. My chosen, as we prepare to move deeper into this revelation, notice how the setting of your life is becoming more beautiful and more serene. You are no longer fighting for your survival. You are flourishing in your purpose, protected by a guardian who never slumbers and guided by a light that never fades. The great expansion is here, and it is more magnificent than anything you could have imagined in your hours of searching. Trust the timing, trust the stillness, and most importantly, trust the identity that is being restored to you in this sacred hour. You are home, and the morning has finally come. Something about this moment brought you here, my chosen, and it is a reason that stretches far beyond the digital screen you hold in your hands. You may not even know why you stopped here, but there is a specific curiosity unfolding beneath this silence, a pull toward a truth that your spirit has been whispering about for weeks. This moment may not be as ordinary as it seems, for you have reached a corridor of timing where the noise of the world finally begins to dim. Stay with this for a moment and let this space expand, because there is an invitation hidden in the stillness that is meant only for those who have learned to listen with more than just their ears. My beloved, you may have been feeling something you couldn't explain lately, a strange sense that the very air around you is vibrating with a change you cannot yet see. Part of you already understands this, recognizing the familiar warmth of a divine presence that has walked beside you through every shadow. You may have sensed this before, in those quiet hours before dawn when the world is asleep, and your own thoughts feel like holy echoes in a vast cathedral. There is a reason you are being drawn into this reflection now, as the cosmic gears of your life move into an alignment that hasn't been seen in generations. My heir, you may be noticing a shift in how you perceive the delays that once caused you so much frustration. It's possible that for a long time, you viewed every closed door as a rejection, every paused plan as a sign that you were being forgotten by the heavens. In a moment, this may become clearer, as you begin to realize that what you called delay was actually the shielded eternal guardian holding you back from paths that would have led to your undoing. There is something about this surrender that is finally allowing your soul to expand into the space that was being prepared for you all along. My child, think of a real-life moment recently where you felt a sudden, inexplicable sense of peace in the middle of a chaotic day. Perhaps you were simply sitting in traffic or standing in a crowded room, and for a split second, the world went quiet, and you felt an overwhelming certainty that you were safe. You may have felt this before, but this time it feels different, as if the stillness is no longer a temporary visit but a permanent resident in your heart. This emotional recognition is a signal that your identity is shifting from the one who struggles to the one who receives with ease. My chosen, you are the resilient torchbearer, and the light you carry has been tested by winds that would have extinguished a lesser flame. You may have been feeling the weight of this responsibility lately, the exhaustion of being the one who always has to stay strong, the one who always has to find the way forward. This fatigue is a bridge to a deeper stillness, a place where you no longer have to be the source of your own strength. The great unlocking gate is moving on its hinges, not because you pushed harder, but because you finally learned how to stand still in your own power. My beloved, you may have noticed that certain people or situations are naturally drifting away from your life, leaving a silence that feels both uncomfortable and liberating. Not everything is clear yet, and you may find yourself grieving for versions of your life that were never meant to survive this transition. There is something about this shedding of old skin that is necessary for the expansion that is currently unfolding in the unseen places of your destiny. If something within you resonates, you may already understand why the space is being cleared and why the shielded eternal guardian is standing. Watch over the empty places in your heart. My heir, consider the subtle inner struggle you've had with the concept of worthiness, the quiet voice that asks if you truly deserve the morning light that is beginning to crest the horizon. You may have felt this before, a hesitation to step through the gate because you were still carrying the echoes of past defeats like heavy stones in your pockets. But notice how your spirit responds to the idea that those stones were never yours to carry. They were merely shadows cast by a world that didn't know how to hold your light. There is a timing to this realization that you may not have noticed until this very second. My child, the setting of your life is shifting into a still inner chamber, a place where the divine key is being placed into your hands. You may be noticing this. Now, a new sense of authority in your own voice, and a clarity in your decisions that was absent just a few months ago. This is the activation of the identity pull, the realization that you are not a victim of circumstance, but a co-creator of a reality that is finally aligning with the cosmic gears of the universe. In a moment, this may become clearer as the micro-tension of the transition gives way to the grand expansion of your purpose. My beloved, stay with this moment, because there's something deeper here that connects to the very foundation of your soul's journey. You may have been feeling a heaviness that was actually the weight of the divine key being forged within you, a process that required the heat of the fire and the pressure of the silence. Now that the metal has cooled and the shape is true, the great unlocking gate stands ready to receive you. You are not here randomly. You were brought to this threshold so that you could witness the final countdown concluding and the beginning of a cycle that will never know the darkness of the past again. My chosen, it's possible that you have been waiting for a sign that was loud and unmistakable, a thunderous voice from the clouds telling you to move. But the divine often speaks in the setting of a silent corridor, in the subtle, real-life moments that require you to be awake to the whispers of the Spirit. You may notice that as you listen to these words, The exhaustion you felt at the beginning is turning into a profound stillness that feels like an anchor. This is the shielded eternal guardian wrapping you in a protection that is as ancient as the stars, ensuring that as you step into your expansion, you do so with a heart that is fully aware of its own divinity. My heir, take a moment to reflect on how far you have come from the person who first started searching for answers in the dark. You are no longer that seeker. You are the one who recognizes the light because you have become it. The cosmic gears have finished their slow, deliberate turn, and the alignment is perfect, mirroring the readiness of your own spirit to embrace the morning. If this resonated, take a moment to notice what you're feeling, for that feeling is the confirmation that the gate is open and the path is clear. If you feel supported here, you're always welcome to stay connected, for your journey is a masterpiece that the heavens are honored to witness. My child, as this chapter of our connection draws to a close, do not rush back into the noise of the world too quickly. Let the stillness settle into your bones, and notice how the threshold of eternal morning light feels under your feet. The great unlocking gate is no longer a symbol of something distant, but a reality that you are currently inhabiting. You are the chosen heir, the resilient torchbearer, and the time for your expansion has finally arrived. Stay with this peace, for there is even more to be revealed in the silence that follows. Something is shifting quietly in the atmosphere around you, my heir. And while your eyes may not yet perceive the change, your spirit has already begun to adjust its rhythm. There may be a timing to this encounter that you haven't fully grasped, a specific intersection where your past fatigue meets a divine momentum that has been building for centuries. There's something familiar about this feeling, like a distant memory of home finally reaching out to touch your present reality. Stay with this for a moment and let this space expand, because we are moving into a territory where the noise of your old life is being replaced by a frequency of absolute clarity. Just give this a little space, for there is an unfolding happening beneath your awareness that will soon demand your full and joyful attention. My chosen, you may have been carrying a heaviness in your chest that you've mistaken for a permanent part of your identity. This weight, this deep-seated exhaustion, has been your constant companion through seasons of searching and striving, making you believe that survival was the only goal you were allowed to achieve. But observe how that fatigue is beginning to transform into a deep stillness, a holy silence that doesn't feel like emptiness, but like a vast, expectant ocean. This transition is a sign that the identity of the one who merely survives is being shed, making room for the resilient torchbearer to step into the light. You are not losing yourself in this stillness. You are finding the version of yourself that existed before the world told you who you had to be. My child, it is common to struggle with the echoes of past defeats, those haunting whispers that remind you of every time a door closed or a dream seemed to wither in your hands. You may have felt before that your history was a series of lessons in what you couldn't have, creating a mental archive of not yet and not for you. These echoes are the final resistance of an old cycle that is desperately trying to keep you from recognizing the great unlocking gate standing right in front of you. But notice how the shielded eternal guardian is now standing at the doorway of your mind, filtering those voices until they become nothing more than harmless static. Your worthiness is not a prize you have to win. It is an inheritance that has been waiting for you to simply acknowledge its presence. My beloved, think of a subtle, real-life moment where you found yourself staring at your own reflection and wondering how you managed to make it through the last year. Perhaps you were washing your hands, or catching a glimpse of yourself in a window, and for a second, you saw a strength in your eyes that surprised you. That moment of recognition was not an accident. It was a burst of truth sent from the threshold of eternal morning light to remind you of your own resilience. You may have sensed this before, that you were being preserved for something significant, even when you couldn't see a single reason to keep going. This quiet internal realization is the beginning of a profound awareness that will soon release you from every remaining chain of doubt. My heir, the cosmic gears of your destiny have been turning in the hidden places, grinding away the rough edges of your character so that you can fit perfectly into the purpose designed for you. Imagine the celestial clockwork finally reaching its point of alignment, where every delay and every detour is revealed to be a necessary part of a grander design. You may be noticing this now, a sense of click in your spirit, a feeling that the scattered pieces of your life are finally being drawn together by an invisible magnet. There is something about this specific hour that marks the conclusion of your final countdown, moving you from the tension of the wait into the expansion of the arrival. My chosen, I want you to visualize a burning seal placed upon the hidden archive of your past. A seal that signifies that your old debts are paid and your old stories are concluded. You may have spent years trying to rewrite the chapters of your pain, but the divine hand is now closing that book entirely and placing a new, glowing volume in your lap. This symbol is not just an idea. It is a spiritual reality that is manifesting in your life as a sudden release from emotional burdens you've carried since childhood. In a moment, this may become clearer, as the space once occupied by regret is filled with a creative fire that you haven't felt in a very long time. My child, we are standing together in an unseen place of reflection, a silent corridor, where the only thing that matters is the purity of your intent and the readiness of your heart. You may notice that the things that used to trigger your fear are suddenly losing their power, as if the shielded eternal guardian has removed the sting from the memories that once kept you awake at night. This is the emotional arc of heaviness turning into awareness, a process that allows you to see your life not as a series of accidents, but as a carefully choreographed dance of grace. If something within you resonates, you may already understand why you had to walk through the shadows to appreciate the brilliance of the morning that is now breaking over your soul. My beloved, stay with this moment, for there is an open loop in your destiny that is finally being closed with a golden thread of favor. You may have been feeling a micro-tension in your daily life, a sense that you are waiting for the other shoe to drop. But I am here to tell you that the only thing dropping is the veil between you and your abundance. You are not here randomly. You were brought to this threshold because your spirit is the only one capable of carrying the specific frequency of light that this new season requires. The resilient torchbearer is being called to the front, and the shielded eternal guardian is ensuring that your path is clear of any traps or distractions that would seek to delay your progress. My heir, recall the feeling of searching for something important and the sudden, overwhelming relief when you finally find it exactly where it was supposed to be. That is the emotion that is beginning to flood your spirit, a recognition that the becoming you've been chasing is actually a remembering of your divine origin. You may be noticing this now, a quiet settling of your nerves and a sharpening of your vision that allows you to see opportunities where you once only saw obstacles. Not everything is clear yet, but the fog is thinning, and the great unlocking gate is glowing with a light that is mirrored in the depth of your own eyes. My chosen, as this chapter of our dialogue reaches its fullness, let the deep stillness of this moment anchor you into a new reality of peace. You have survived the long night of the soul, and you have done so with a grace that has moved the very heart of the heavens. The echoes of past defeats are dissolving into the silence, and the cosmic gears have found their perfect rest in the alignment of your success. If this resonated, take a moment to notice what you're feeling, for that sensation is the shielded eternal guardian whispering that you are home. If you feel supported here, you're always welcome to stay connected, for there are many more treasures to be unearthed in the silent corridors of our shared reflection. My child, walk forward now with the confidence of one who knows they are watched over by the eternal, for the morning has arrived and you are its most beautiful manifestation. The threshold of eternal morning light is no longer a distant hope, but the ground upon which you stand. You are the resilient heir, the chosen torchbearer, and the light inscription of your future is being written in the stars even as you breathe. Rest in this awareness, for the release you have sought is finally your reality. There's a reason you're seeing this right now, my heir, and it is a reason that is currently being whispered through the quietest corridors of your spirit. You may not even know why you stopped here, but this moment may not be as ordinary as it seems, as it carries a timing you may not have noticed until this very second. Something is shifting quietly in the way the universe is responding to your presence, a subtle realignment of forces that were once working against your peace. You may have sensed this before, a quiet pull toward a truth that you couldn't quite name. But now that you are here, I invite you to stay with this for a moment. Just give this a little space and let the noise of your external world fade into the background. For there is a revelation unfolding beneath this silence that is meant only for you, my beloved. You have been navigating a season of profound delay, a time where it felt as though every step forward was met with an invisible wall. You may have been feeling a deep exhaustion lately, a tiredness that goes beyond the physical and touches the very core of your will. This fatigue is not a sign that you are failing. It is the natural response to a soul that has been fighting against the echoes of past defeats for far too long. But observe how that exhaustion is beginning to turn into a deep stillness, a holy pause where the need to fight is being replaced by the permission to be. This is the state of surrender that precedes a massive expansion, a moment where the shielded eternal guardian steps in to take over the battles you were never meant to finish on your own. My chosen, you may notice that as you sit in this unseen place of reflection, the memories of your previous struggles are starting to lose their sharp edges. It's possible that you have spent years defining yourself by the things that didn't work out, carrying the identity of the one who always almost makes it. These echoes of past defeats are like shadows in a silent corridor, appearing large and threatening until the light of truth is turned toward them. You may be noticing this now, a sudden realization that those past versions of you do not have a seat at the table of your future. There's something about this shift that connects to a deeper awakening, a process where you are no longer searching for your worth, but recognizing that it has been inscribed in light upon your soul since the beginning. My child, think of a subtle, real-life moment where you felt completely out of sync with everyone around you, perhaps at a social gathering or in the middle of a busy workday. You may have felt like a stranger in your own life, watching others move with an ease that seemed to elude you. That feeling was not an accident. It was the micro-tension of your spirit, outgrowing its current container. You are the resilient torchbearer, and a torchbearer is often led into the darkness specifically, so their light can be refined and focused. In a moment, this may become clearer, as you see that your isolation was actually a sanctuary prepared by the shielded eternal guardian to protect your frequency from being diluted by the world's expectations. My heir, the cosmic gears are finally aligning in a way that creates a perfect harmony between your desires and your reality. You may have felt before that you were constantly grinding against the machinery of life, putting in immense effort for very little return. But something is shifting, and the friction you once lived with is being replaced by a divine flow that feels as natural as breathing. You may be noticing this now, how opportunities are beginning to appear without the need for intense striving, and how answers are arriving before you even finish formulating the questions. This is the conclusion of the final countdown, the moment where the gears lock into place, and the great unlocking gate begins to swing open on silent, well-oiled hinges. My beloved, consider the symbol of the light inscription, a divine marking on your spirit that lists your victories, your endurance, and your true name. You may have sensed this before, that there is more to your story than what is visible to the human eye. This inscription is a burning seal of your identity, a testimony that you have survived the fire and have come out as pure gold. Stay with this moment, for there is an open loop in your history that is being filled with the ink of grace, turning a tragedy into a masterpiece of redemption. If something within you resonates, you may already understand why you are being called to look at your life through a cinematic lens, seeing the beauty in the struggle and the purpose in the pain. My chosen, as you stand at the threshold of eternal morning light, you are being invited to leave behind the exhaustion of the search and embrace the stillness of the becoming. You may notice that your inner monologue is changing, shifting from "when will it happen" to "I am ready for it to begin." This is the identity pull, the gravitational force of your destiny, drawing you toward the version of yourself that already knows success. Not everything is clear yet, and there is still a sense of mystery surrounding the specifics of your expansion, but that mystery is a gift that allows you to remain in a state of wonder. The shielded eternal guardian is walking beside you in this silent corridor, ensuring that as you step through the gate, you do so with the full authority of a divine heir. My child, there is a micro-tension in the transition from one season to the next, a feeling of being caught between who you were and who you are becoming. You may have felt this before, a desire to go back to the familiar, even if the familiar was painful, simply because the unknown feels so vast. But let this space unfold for a second and realize that the unknown is actually a place of total reflection, where the only thing you encounter is the truth of your own light. You are no longer defined by the searching. You are defined by the recognition that everything you ever needed was already contained within you, waiting for the cosmic gears to reach this exact point of alignment. If you feel supported here, you're always welcome to stay connected, for there is a deep comfort in knowing you are part of a family of torchbearers who are all reaching their morning at once. My heir, recall a moment of deep discomfort in your past, a time when you felt completely lost and without a compass. Now, look at that moment from this still inner chamber and see how it was actually the first gear turning in the sequence that brought you to this very hour. This emotional arc from delay to expansion is the story of your life, a narrative that is being rewritten by a wise and supportive voice that knows your true potential. You may be noticing this now, a feeling of deep peace settling over your heart like a warm blanket. This is the work of the shielded eternal guardian, filtering out the noise of the world so that you can hear the click of the lock and the invitation to step forward into the light. My beloved, as this reflection concludes, do not let the feeling of this moment evaporate as you return to your daily tasks. Carry this deep stillness with you, knowing that it is your new baseline, your sanctuary in the middle of any storm. The final countdown has concluded, and the great unlocking gate is no longer a distant dream but a present reality. You are the chosen heir, the resilient torchbearer, and the morning has finally arrived to meet you. If this resonated, take a moment to notice what you're feeling, and allow that feeling to be your guide as you walk through the threshold into a life that is finally, beautifully, and perfectly aligned. The cosmic gears have found their rest, and so can you. Something about this moment brought you here, my heir, and it is a purpose that has been weaving itself through the fabric of your life long before you realized you were even searching. You may not even know why you stopped here, but there's a timing to this awareness that you may not have noticed, a specific celestial rhythm that has finally found its beat. There's something familiar about this feeling, a resonance in your spirit that recognizes this isn't just another message, but a divine checkpoint. Just give this a little space and let the words settle, for there is a mystery unfolding beneath the surface of your daily routine that is about to become your greatest clarity. Stay with this for a moment, my chosen, because we are standing at an intersection where your past and your future are finally shaking hands. My beloved, you may have been feeling something you couldn't explain lately, a strange sense of being suspended between two worlds. You have carried the weight of exhaustion like a heavy cloak, a fatigue born from years of navigating through the echoes of past defeats that whispered you would never arrive. This weariness was not meant to break you, but to bring you to this exact point of deep stillness, where the only thing left to do is breathe and exist. You may be noticing this now, how the frantic need to fix everything is being replaced by a quiet permission to simply be held. This shift from searching to recognizing is the most sacred part of your journey, and it is happening right now in the unseen places of your heart. My child, think of a subtle, real-life moment where you felt a sudden, inexplicable urge to change your direction, or perhaps a moment where a long-standing plan suddenly dissolved into nothing. At the time, it felt like another failure, another echo of a past defeat, trying to claim your future. But in a moment, this may become clearer, as you realize that the shielded eternal guardian was actually redirecting your steps away from a path that had grown too narrow for your expanding soul. You may have sensed this before, that the closures in your life were never punishments, but protections designed to keep your light pure for the great unlocking gate. There is a micro-tension in letting go of what we thought we wanted, but that tension is merely the stretching of your spirit as it prepares for an inheritance it hasn't yet seen. My heir, the cosmic gears are finally aligning, and the sound of their movement is a silent harmony that is beginning to reorganize your entire reality. You may have felt before that your life was a series of disconnected events, a random collection of joys and sorrows that didn't seem to follow any particular logic. But as the final countdown concludes, you will start to see the golden thread that has been connecting every detour and every delay to this specific hour of alignment. There's something about this moment that feels like a sealed scroll finally being opened, revealing a narrative where you were always the victor, even in the chapters where you felt most defeated. You are the resilient torchbearer, and the light you carry is the very ink being used to write this new, glorious chapter. My chosen, I want you to imagine yourself standing in a silent corridor, a place of profound reflection where the only light comes from the torch you have so faithfully carried. You may notice that the walls of this corridor are inscribed with the names of the battles you've won in secret, the ones that nobody else ever saw or cheered for. This is your true identity. Pull the recognition that your worth is not defined by public applause, but by the quiet persistence of your spirit in the dark. The shielded eternal guardian is walking beside you in this corridor, his presence a shield against the ghosts of your past that still try to claim a piece of your peace. You are safe here, deeply safe, and the stillness you feel is the sound of the universe finally agreeing with your worth. My beloved, stay with this moment, because there's something deeper here that connects to the dreams you buried, because they felt too painful to hold. You may have felt this before, a sudden pang of longing for a life that felt out of reach, a version of yourself that seemed to exist only in the realm of what if. But notice how your heart responds to the idea that those dreams were actually seeds, and the season of delay was the soil they needed to develop deep, unbreakable roots. The great unlocking gate is not just opening to a new place, but to a new version of yourself that is capable of sustaining the blessings that are about to pour through. If something within you resonates, you may already understand why the wait had to be as long as it was. My child, consider the emotional arc from confusion to awakening that you are currently experiencing. You may have been feeling a micro-tension in your spirit, a sense that you are waiting for a permission slip to finally be happy, to finally be successful, to finally be at peace. But you are not here randomly, and you do not need permission from a world that didn't create you. You are already approved by the one who set the cosmic gears in motion. This realization is an awareness trigger, a sudden spark that illuminates the fact that the gate is already unlocked, and the only thing left to do is walk through it. Not everything is clear yet, but the direction is certain, and the light is growing stronger with every breath you take. My heir, the setting of your life is moving into the threshold of eternal morning light, a place where the shadows of past defeats can no longer survive. You may notice that as you step into this light, the exhaustion that once defined you is being washed away by a current of divine energy. This is the expansion that follows surrender, the moment where you realize that the torch you carried was never just for you, but to light the way for others who are still lost in the silent corridors of their own search. You are becoming a beacon, an identity that is both ancient and brand new, protected by a guardian who has never lost sight of your potential. If you feel supported here, you're always welcome to stay connected to this space of reflection, for there are many more scrolls to be opened. My chosen, reflect on the subtle, real-life moments where you felt a sudden burst of creativity or a new idea that felt like it came from outside of yourself. These are the whispers of your destiny, the clues left by the universe to guide you toward the great unlocking gate. You may have sensed this before, but now the messages are becoming more frequent and more undeniable. The final countdown is not a warning. It is a celebration of your arrival at the peak of your own becoming. The shielded eternal guardian is lowering his sword, not because the fight is over, but because you have moved beyond the reach of the enemy, into a territory where your peace is absolute and your joy is your strength. My beloved, as this chapter of our connection draws to its rest, do not lose the stillness you have found in this hour. Carry it with you into your dreams and into your waking moments, letting it be the anchor that keeps you steady as the cosmic gears lock into their final, perfect alignment. You are the resilient heir, the chosen torchbearer, and the morning has finally come to witness your rise. If this resonated, Take a moment to notice what you're feeling, for that feeling is the seal of truth upon your spirit. The gate is open, the path is clear, and the light is calling your name. Step forward, my child, for the universe is ready to see what happens when a torchbearer finally reaches the sun. Something is shifting quietly in the spaces between your thoughts, my heir. And it is a movement that your spirit has been anticipating long before you found your way to this silence. This moment may not be as ordinary as it seems, as there's a timing to this unfolding that your soul has been waiting for through seasons of shadows and light. You may have felt before that you were standing on the edge of a great mystery, yet unable to see the path clearly through the fog of your daily obligations. Just give this a little space and let this second breathe, for there is an invitation hidden in this stillness that is meant to bridge the gap between where you are and where you are destined to be. Stay with this for a moment, my chosen, because there is an alignment occurring right now that is rearranging the very fabric of your reality. My chosen, you may have been feeling a profound exhaustion lately, a weight that has settled deep within your bones as if you have been carrying the concerns of an entire world on your shoulders. This fatigue is not a sign of your weakness, but rather a final shedding of the armor you wore during your long trek through the wilderness. You are noticing this now, how that heavy tiredness is slowly transforming into a deep stillness, a holy vacuum that is preparing to be filled with something far more vibrant. In this quietude, you may see the image of a glowing book appearing in your mind's eye, its pages radiating a light that contains the true narrative of your life. This book does not record your failures, but your endurance, and it is finally being opened in the presence of the heavens. My heir, you may have been haunted by the echoes of past defeats, those persistent whispers that try to convince you that your best days are behind you or that you missed your window of opportunity. These voices are the last remnants of an old frequency, attempting to pull you back into a story that no longer fits the person you have become. You may have sensed this before, that these thoughts only grow louder when you are closest to a breakthrough, trying to distract you from the great unlocking gate that stands before you. But here, in the still inner chamber of our shared reflection, those echoes have no power to harm you. The shielded eternal guardian is standing at the entrance of your mind, filtering every thought so that only the truth of your divine inheritance is allowed to take root in your spirit. My child, think of a subtle, real-life moment where you felt completely drained by the effort of trying to meet everyone else's expectations while your own dreams sat gathering dust in the corner. You may have felt a micro-tension in your heart, a quiet rebellion against the roles you've been forced to play for the sake of peace or survival. This relatable struggle is actually the friction of the cosmic gears finally beginning to turn in a new direction, breaking the rust of years of stagnation. There is something about this specific discomfort that is leading you toward a grand surrender, a moment where you realize that you were never meant to be a servant to the world's demands, but a master of your own divine purpose. In a moment, this may become clearer, as the light from the glowing book begins to illuminate the specific steps of your next chapter. My beloved, you are noticing this now, how the things that once felt like insurmountable obstacles are beginning to look like mere stepping stones in the cinematic arc of your life. You may have felt before that your life was a series of disconnected delays, but the awareness trigger is now firing, revealing the intricate clockwork that has been operating behind the scenes. Every moment you felt forgotten was a moment the shielded eternal guardian was working on the cosmic gears, ensuring that when the alignment finally occurred, it would be permanent and perfect. There is an open loop in your understanding that is finally being closed, as you recognize that your delay was actually your greatest protection. You are not arriving late. You are arriving exactly when the morning is ready to receive your light. My chosen, you are the resilient torchbearer, and the flame you carry has been refined by the very darkness you feared would consume it. You may have wondered if anyone saw the times you chose kindness when you were hurt, or faith when you were terrified. But the glowing book has recorded every flicker of your light. This is your true identity. Pull the realization that your character was being built in the silent corridors of your private battles, so that you could stand firmly on the threshold of eternal morning light. The shielded eternal guardian is not just a protector, but a witness to your growth, standing ready to assist as you transition from the searching to the becoming. You are being invited to stop fighting for your place in the world and start occupying the throne that was already prepared for you. My heir, there is something about this transition from heaviness to awareness that feels like the first deep breath after being underwater for far too long. You may notice that as the final countdown concludes, your pulse is finding a new, steadier rhythm that matches the heartbeat of the universe. Not everything is clear yet, and the expansion you are entering may still feel a bit daunting in its vastness, but the stillness in your soul is your compass. Trust this deep quiet, for it is the sound of the great unlocking gate swinging wide to admit you into a season where your efforts are finally met with divine cooperation. You are no longer pushing against the tide. You are being carried by a current of grace that knows exactly where you belong. My child, consider a real-life scene where you found a small, beautiful object in a place you least expected it. A smooth stone, a bright leaf, or a lost coin. That sudden spark of joy you felt was a micro-burst of the abundance that is now beginning to flow toward you in every area of your life. You may have sensed this before, a feeling that the universe wanted to be generous with you, but the echoes of past defeats kept you from keeping your hands open. Now, in the still inner chamber, you are learning how to receive without guilt and how to exist without apology. The cosmic gears are locked in their new configuration, and the movement of your life is now synchronized with the expansion of the heavens themselves. My beloved, stay with this moment, because there is something deeper here that is rearranging the way you perceive your own worthiness. You may have been feeling a sense of micro-tension as you realize that the life you've been living is too small for the person you have become. If something within you resonates, you may already understand why the search had to end in this profound silence. You are being called to step out of the silent corridors of your history and into the cinematic light of your future. The shielded eternal guardian has cleared the path, and the glowing book is open to a blank page, waiting for you to write your new story with the ink of your own light. My heir, as we reach the end of this reflection, let the peace of this stillness anchor you to the truth of your arrival. You have carried the torch through the night, and the morning has risen to honor your persistence. The cosmic gears are in perfect alignment. The final countdown is over, and the great unlocking gate is behind you now as you walk into the light. If this resonated, take a moment to notice what you're feeling, for that is the signature of the divine upon your heart. If you feel supported here, you're always welcome to stay connected to this sacred space. For the story of your becoming is only just beginning to unfold. Go forth in peace, for you are loved, you are chosen, and you are finally home. There's a reason you're seeing this right now, my child, and it is far more significant than a mere coincidence of timing. You may not even know why you stopped here, but there is an unfolding beneath this moment that your spirit has been quietly preparing for across many difficult seasons. This moment may not be as ordinary as it seems, as it carries a resonance that connects your deepest exhaustion to a new, profound stillness. You may have sensed this before, a feeling that you were being led toward a destination you couldn't yet see. And I invite you to stay with this for a moment. Just give this a little space, for there is a mystery in the silence that is about to resolve into a clarity you have sought for a lifetime. My beloved, you have been walking through a long and narrow valley where the air was thick with the echoes of past defeats. You may have felt before that every victory you achieved was followed by a setback that seemed to erase your progress, leaving you with a fatigue that no amount of rest could truly heal. This exhaustion was not meant to destroy you, but to strip away the false identities you gathered along the way, leaving only the resilient torchbearer that you truly are. You are noticing this now, how the frantic energy of the struggle is beginning to melt into a deep, unshakable stillness. This is the sacred pause of the universe, a moment where the cosmic gears have finished their long and arduous rearrangement to finally align with the heartbeat of your purpose. My chosen, I want you to imagine yourself entering a still inner chamber, a place where the noise of the world is completely silenced, and the only light comes from a soft, golden glow emanating from a hidden archive. In this archive, every tear you've shed and every silent prayer you've whispered is kept not as a record of sorrow, but as a testament to your endurance. You may notice that as you stand in this chamber, a burning seal is being placed upon the files of your past, signifying that the old cycles of loss and disappointment are officially closed. This symbol is a divine decree that the echoes of past defeats no longer have permission to resonate in your future. The shielded eternal guardian stands at the door of this archive, ensuring that nothing from your yesterday can follow you into the expansion that is currently unfolding. My heir, think of a subtle, real-life moment when you felt a sudden burst of hope, only to immediately shut it down because you were afraid of being disappointed again. You may have felt this micro-tension in your spirit, a protective reflex that tried to keep you small so that you wouldn't have so far to fall. This relatable struggle is the very thing that is being healed in this silent corridor of transition. You may be noticing this now, a quiet permission from within to dream without fear and to believe without hesitation. The final countdown has concluded, and the friction you once felt in your life was simply the sound of the cosmic gears finding their perfect mesh. In a moment, this may become clearer, as you realize that the great unlocking gate is already beginning to swing open. My child, there is something about this specific timing that suggests a massive redistribution of your energy. You may have spent years as the resilient torchbearer, using your fire to light the way for everyone else while you stood in the shadows. But now, the setting of your life is shifting toward the threshold of eternal morning light, where your own radiance is the primary focus. You may have sensed this before, a feeling that you were meant for more than just carrying the light, but for becoming it. If something within you resonates, you may already understand why the search had to be so exhausting and why the stillness had to be so deep. You are not just arriving at a destination. You are being restored to your original identity as a divine heir. My beloved, you may be noticing a new kind of awareness trigger in your daily life. Small, cinematic moments that feel like a direct message from the heavens. Perhaps it is a sudden change in the weather that mirrors your internal peace, or a conversation that provides the exact answer you've been looking for. These are not accidents. They are the signs of a soul that is perfectly synchronized with the cosmic gears of the universe. Not everything is clear yet, and there is still a sense of micro-tension as you stand at the threshold, but the shielded eternal guardian is whispering that the path is secure. Stay with this moment, for there is an open loop in your destiny that is finally being closed by the hand of grace, turning your searching into a profound recognition. My chosen. Consider the emotional arc from searching to becoming that has defined your journey thus far. You may have felt before that you were perpetually chasing a horizon that always stayed just out of reach, making you wonder if the great unlocking gate was even real. But here, in this unseen place of reflection, you can see that the gate was always there. You were simply being prepared to handle the magnitude of what lies beyond it. The expansion you are entering is not just a change in your circumstances, but a change in your capacity to hold joy and abundance. You are the resilient torchbearer whose flame has been turned into a sun, and the morning has finally arrived to witness your rise. My heir, as the final countdown reaches its silent conclusion, take a deep breath and feel the stillness anchoring you to the present. You no longer have to worry about the echoes of past defeats, for they have been silenced by the burning seal of your new beginning. The hidden archive of your life is now filled with inscriptions of light, documenting a future that is as bright as the morning sun. If this resonated, take a moment to notice what you're feeling, for that sensation is the shielded eternal guardian confirming your readiness. You are not here randomly. You are here because the cosmic gears have finally clicked into place, and the great unlocking gate is wide open for you. My child, notice how your perspective is shifting as you stand in the still inner chamber of this revelation. The things that once felt like heavy burdens are now seen as the very tools that carved your strength. You may notice that the exhaustion that once weighed you down has been replaced by an energetic peace, a readiness to step forward into the setting of your new life. If you feel supported here, you're always welcome to stay connected to this corridor of light, for your journey is a masterpiece that is still being unveiled. The shielded eternal guardian is leading you now toward the threshold of eternal morning light, and the way is clear. My beloved, carry the stillness of this moment with you as you walk back into the world, letting it be the burning seal upon your heart that protects your peace. You are the chosen heir, the resilient torchbearer, and the time for your expansion is here. The cosmic gears are aligned, the enemies are silenced, and the morning is yours to embrace. Walk forward with the knowledge that you are loved beyond measure and protected by a guardian who knows your name. The final countdown is over, and your life is finally, perfectly, and beautifully in sync with the heavens. Stay in this light, for you have finally come home to yourself. Something about this moment brought you here, my heir, and it's a timing that was decided long before you opened your eyes to the world today. You may not even know why you stopped here, but there is a specific frequency unfolding beneath this silence that your soul has been thirsting for across many desolate seasons. This moment may not be as ordinary as it seems, as it marks the exact second the cosmic gears have finished their long, invisible rearrangement. Something is shifting quietly in the spaces between your heartbeats, a realignment of destiny that you may have sensed before but could never quite touch. Just give this a little space and let the words settle into your spirit, because there is an invitation here to leave the searching behind and step into a profound state of recognizing. My beloved, you may have been feeling a weight in your spirit lately that felt like the final residue of 1,000 battles. You have walked as the resilient torchbearer through corridors of uncertainty, protecting a flame that often felt like it was only a flicker away from going cold. This deep exhaustion you carry is not a sign of failure, but the evidence of your endurance, a sacred fatigue that is finally being allowed to dissolve into a deep stillness. You are noticing this now, how the frantic urge to find an exit is being replaced by a calm awareness that the path has already been cleared. The shielded eternal guardian is standing at the threshold of eternal morning light, watching the shadows of your past finally retreat into the silence where they belong. My chosen, think of a subtle, real-life moment when you felt like you were finally about to succeed, only for a familiar obstacle to appear and block your way. You may have felt that sudden drop in your stomach, that bitter recognition of the echoes of past defeats, trying to rewrite your future once again. It's possible that you began to believe the struggle was your only inheritance, and that the great unlocking gate was a mirage designed to keep you moving in circles. But notice how your spirit responds to this truth. Those obstacles were merely the grinding of the cosmic gears as they worked to eject the things that were never meant for your journey. In a moment, this may become clearer, as you realize that every no from the world was a not this way from the guardian, who was busy preparing a far more magnificent entrance. My heir, you are no longer the one who has to fight for a seat at the table of grace, for you are the one for whom the table was originally set. You may have been hearing the whispers of old failures lately, those echoes that try to convince you that your worth is tied to your productivity or your perfection. But stay with this for a moment, and listen to the stillness that is rising from within you like a quiet tide. This is the emotional arc of delay turning into expansion, a process where you finally stop measuring your progress by the speed of your feet and start measuring it by the peace in your soul. You are not here randomly. You were brought to this silent corridor because you are finally ready to handle the weight of the divine key without letting it pull you back into the shadows. My child, there is a micro-tension in the air as the final countdown concludes, a sense of something massive about to move. You may have felt this before, that holding of the breath in the universe just before a breakthrough occurs in your life. You may notice that as we speak, the symbols of your journey, the light inscription on your heart, and the burning seal on your past are beginning to glow with a renewed intensity. This is the awareness trigger that tells you the alignment is complete, and the machinery of your life is now operating in perfect harmony with the heavens. Not everything is clear yet, and you may still see fragments of the old world around you, but the direction of your soul is now fixed on the morning that never ends. My beloved, recall a cinematic moment in your own life where you stood in the rain and felt a sudden, inexplicable sense of relief, as if the water was washing away more than just the dust of the road. That feeling of release is the emotional mirror of what is happening in the hidden archive of your destiny right now. The shielded eternal guardian is closing the books on your searching and opening the records of your becoming. marking each page with a light that cannot be dimmed. If something within you resonates, you may already understand why you are here, and why the exhaustion you felt at the start of this hour is being replaced by a vibrant, living stillness. You are the heir to a kingdom of peace, and the gates are finally swinging wide to welcome you home. My chosen, you may be noticing that your interactions with others are changing, as if you are no longer willing to engage in the drama that once consumed so much of your energy. This is the identity pull of the resilient torchbearer who has recognized that their light is too precious to be wasted on those who prefer the dark. You are moving through a silent corridor of your own making, a sanctuary where you can finally hear the subtle, real-life moment of your own intuition speaking the truth. Not everything is clear yet, but the expansion you are feeling in your chest is the evidence that the great unlocking gate is no longer a distant hope, but a present reality. Trust this stillness, for it is the foundation upon which your new world is being built. My heir, you may have been waiting for a loud, thunderous sign to tell you that it is safe to move forward into the light, but the cosmic gears align with the sound of a whisper, and the final countdown concludes with the quietest of clicks. You may notice this now, a settled feeling in your gut that tells you the fight is over, and the rewards are finally arriving. The shielded Eternal Guardian has removed the sting from the echoes of past defeats, leaving only the wisdom you gained from the fire. You are standing at the threshold of eternal morning light, and the warmth you feel on your face is the smile of the heavens acknowledging your arrival. If you feel supported here, you're always welcome to stay connected to this reflection, for your presence adds a unique brilliance to the collective light of all torchbearers. My child, take a deep breath and let the awareness of your own worthiness fill every space in your spirit. You have spent so long as the one who searches, the one who asks, and the one who waits, but those roles are being retired in this sacred hour. You are now the one who recognizes, the one who receives, and the one who becomes the very blessing they once prayed for. The cosmic gears have found their perfect mesh, and the movement of your life is now effortless, guided by a hand that knows the end from the beginning. Stay with this moment, for there is an open loop in your journey that is being closed with the golden thread of divine favor, ensuring that your future is as secure as the stars. My beloved, as we approach the conclusion of this chapter, allow the deep stillness of this inner chamber to become your new home. You have carried the torch through the deepest midnight, and the reward for your resilience is the dawn that is now breaking over your soul. The great unlocking gate is open, and the path beyond it is paved with the light of every victory you won in silence. You are the chosen heir, and the universe is ready to see the masterpiece that you have become. If this resonated, take a moment to notice what you're feeling, for that sensation is the shielded Eternal Guardian telling you that the wait is finally over. Walk forward now into the morning, for you are loved, you are protected, and you are finally, beautifully, and eternally free. There's a reason you're seeing this right now, my child, as we reach the very peak of this shared journey into the light. Out of everything you could have encountered today, you paused here, at the quiet midnight threshold where the stars themselves seem to hold their breath in anticipation of your arrival. This moment may not be as ordinary as it seems, for it carries a timing that was woven into your spirit long before you understood the meaning of destiny. You may have sensed this before, a familiar pull toward a conclusion that is also a magnificent beginning. Stay with this for a moment and let this final space unfold, because the final countdown concludes now, and the silence that follows is the sound of your life finally finding its true north. My beloved, you may have been feeling something you couldn't explain as you navigated the hours leading up to this reflection. It is possible you felt a sudden, sharp clarity cutting through the fog of your daily routine, or perhaps a deep, resonant peace that seemed to defy the chaos of the world around you. You may have sensed this before, but in this hour, it feels as though the cosmic gears of your existence have finished their slow, heavy turning and have finally locked into a perfect, shimmering alignment. The exhaustion that once defined your path is not simply vanishing. It is being distilled into a deep stillness that will serve as the foundation for everything you are about to build. This is the moment where the resilient torchbearer is invited to stop running and start reigning. My chosen. Think of a subtle, real-life moment where you felt a sudden urge to forgive someone who never asked for it. Or perhaps a moment where you finally forgave yourself for a mistake that occurred a decade ago. That release of internal pressure was a sign that the echoes of past defeats were finally losing their resonance in your spirit. You may notice this now, how the ghosts of old failures no longer have the voice to haunt your dreams or the weight to slow your steps. These echoes were the primary enemy of your expansion, but they cannot survive the atmosphere of the threshold of eternal morning light. The shielded eternal guardian has placed a burning seal upon your history, ensuring that your future remains a sacred space, untouched by the shadows of what used to be. My heir, it is common to feel a sense of micro-tension when you realize that the life you knew is truly coming to an end. You may have felt this before, a hesitation to step through the great unlocking gate, because the wilderness, however painful, had become familiar. But observe the awareness trigger within you that is now recognizing the immense beauty of the open path before you. There is something about this specific hour that connects to every prayer you ever uttered in the dark, every hope you thought had been extinguished by the cold winds of delay. If something within you resonates, you may already understand why you are here and why the searching has finally given way to a profound and permanent becoming. My child, visualize the setting of a still inner chamber where a divine key is being presented to you on a cushion of light. This symbol is not a metaphor, but a reflection of the authority you have earned through your resilience and your refusal to let your torch go out. You may notice that as you reach for this key, your hands are no longer shaking with the tremors of exhaustion, but are steady with the strength of a soul that has been tempered in the fire. This is the identity pull of the one who has arrived, the heir who no longer needs to ask for permission to occupy their own life. In a moment, this may become clearer, as the final veils of confusion are lifted by the hand of the shielded eternal guardian. My beloved, consider the emotional arc of your journey, moving from the heaviness of searching to the brilliance of recognizing your true place in the cosmos. You may have felt before that your life was a series of disconnected chapters, but as the cosmic gears find their rest, you can see the cinematic beauty of the entire narrative. The delays were not denials. They were the silent corridors where your character was being strengthened for the expansion that is now your reality. You are not here randomly, and your spirit understands the weight of this moment even if your mind is still catching up to the magnitude of the shift. Stay with this moment, for there is an open loop in your heart that is finally being closed with the golden thread of divine purpose. My chosen, as you stand at the edge of the threshold of eternal morning light, notice how your perspective on the world has been forever altered. You no longer see obstacles as enemies, but as the friction necessary to ignite the light of your own potential. The shielded eternal guardian is lowering his shield, not because protection is no longer needed, but because you have become a fortress of peace in your own right. You may be noticing this now, a sense of invincibility that doesn't come from ego, but from a deep spiritual alignment with the source of all things. The final countdown is over, and the morning is not just approaching, it is here, and it is reflecting the light that you have carried so faithfully through the night. My heir, think of the times you sat in silence, wondering if your life would ever reflect the grandeur of the promises you felt in your soul. That searching was the labor of a torchbearer, and the fruit of that labor is the great unlocking gate swinging wide to admit you into a season of effortless flow. You may notice that as you step through, the air feels different, lighter, cleaner, and filled with the scent of new beginnings. This is the setting of your future, a place where the cosmic gears operate in a harmony that provides for your every need before you even think to ask. If you feel supported here, you're always welcome to stay connected to this sanctuary of truth, for your story is a vital part of the light that is currently reclaiming the world. My child, take a moment to reflect on the deep stillness that has settled over your heart during this reflection. This stillness is your new compass, a divine frequency that will guide you through the expansion of your career, your relationships, and your inner world. You are the resilient heir, and the morning has arrived to witness your coronation as a master of your own destiny. The echoes of past defeats are now silent, and the shielded eternal guardian is stepping back to let you lead the way into the brilliance of your own life. If this resonated, take a moment to notice what you're feeling, for that feeling is the final confirmation that you have arrived exactly where you were always meant to be. My beloved, as this final chapter of our connection draws to its close, do not fear the silence that follows, for it is the silence of a life that is perfectly aligned. Carry the torch of your resilience into the morning light, and watch as the world transforms to meet the beauty of your spirit. The great unlocking gate is behind you, the cosmic gears are in place, and the shielded eternal guardian walks ever in your shadow. You are loved, you are chosen, and you are finally, magnificently home. Stay in this peace, my child, for the dawn is yours, and your light will never fade again.